Hi, it's Valerie from VM CPA, here today to talk to you about the Solver plugin for Excel. As an accountant, as a consultant, as a business owner, I use the Solver plugin fairly frequently. It's a really powerful tool, and I thought I'd share with you one use case scenario that I used somewhat recently to introduce you to Solver and help you see how powerful it can be. Before we get started, make sure that you have the Solver plugin turned on in your Excel file. It does come with Excel, but it doesn't come activated, so you need to turn it on first before you can get started. So, go to the File menu, choose Options, Add-ins, make sure the Excel add-in is chosen from the pull-down menu here and click Go. Then make sure the Solver add-in is checked. If it's unchecked, check it, and then hit OK. And then in your Data tab, you'll see the Solver plugin. So with that, you're ready to go. So let's walk through one scenario of how Solver can help us. It's a really powerful tool, and we're just going to scratch the surface with this one. Let's imagine you've got a SEP IRA contribution. You want to make a contribution for your employees, but you only have a set dollar amount, in this case $20,000. And so I need to figure out what contribution percentage will allow me to arrive at a total contribution of $20,000. Let's just pause for a moment and remind ourselves how SEP IRA contributions work. They're pretty straightforward. Simply, it is each employee's annual compensation multiplied by the employer's chosen contribution percentage. There are two constraints. One is that the contribution for any one employee must not exceed $57,000. And secondly, the annual contribution percentage chosen by the employer can only be between 0% and 25%. So I've set up a scenario here with 6 employees and just kind of a smattering of wages. I just more or less randomly chose them off the top of my head. And what I did was set up a really simple formula. I just took each wage and multiplied it by the contribution percentage. But I actually used the min formula to limit the result to $57,000. So this formula multiplies the wages by the contribution percentage and then offers up $57,000, and Excel is going to return the lesser of those two. That's what the min formula does. So we've got that formula in each of the rows here, and then I've got a sum formula that simply adds up each of the SEP IRA contributions. And in this scenario, we again have a available cash of $20,000. That's all we've got. So we need to figure out what contribution percentage would allow us to arrive at the sum of all contributions to be $20,000. Now you might ask yourself, could we just use GoalSeek for this? GoalSeek is like Solver Lite. It is really straightforward. There aren't a lot of inputs, and maybe it could do the trick for us here. Actually, let's test it out. So, GoalSeek. It works like this. We get three inputs. So what we're trying to do is set cell F10, which is the sum of all IRA contributions, to a value of $20,000, which is our available cash. Do I have too many zeros there? 20,000. And by changing the amount in cell F12, which is the cell that contains the employer's IRA contribution percentage. So with that, I'm going to hit OK and let it do its magic. Lo and behold, it comes up with 2.79%, really fast, and that's actually the right answer. If we use a contribution percentage of 2.79%, given these wages for these 6 employees, we arrive at a total IRA contribution across all employees of $20,000, which is the amount of our available cash. So why bother with Solver? GoalSeek does the trick. Well, let's create a slightly different scenario and see if GoalSeek still works. Let's say our available cash is actually $160,000. And I am going to walk through GoalSeek here, and I'm going to set the sum of all IRA contributions to a value of $160,000 by changing the amount of the IRA contribution percentage, and I hit OK, and it thinks for a second, and it arrives at 25.25% as an IRA contribution percentage. That's out of bounds. So GoalSeek, unfortunately, while coming up with a mathematically correct answer, has not come up with an answer that matches up with tax law. So GoalSeek doesn't work for us here. Now, you might have thought, maybe I can use data validation to work this. So let's see if data validation does the trick for us. We've got the contribution percentage. We want to limit it to a certain set of values between 0 and 25%. Let's set the data validation there. So we say, I want that value in that cell to be a decimal, a percentage, and it needs to be between 0 and 25%. Well, guess what? I had this already set up and GoalSeek overrode it. So data validation is not going to help us out when we're using GoalSeek. The best it can do is if I choose the circle invalid data item here on the data validation menu, it will circle that this is an invalid data result, but it doesn't actually prevent us from getting the wrong answer. So we do need to use Solver in this case. So I'm going to clear that, and we're going to start fresh. So let's go to Solver. Let's walk it through. First, what we're going to do is set the objective of F10. F10 is the sum of IRA contributions to equal $160,000 by changing the amount in F12, which is the SEP IRA contribution percentage. But let's put the constraint on it that F12 must be equal to or lesser than F13, which is the cell that carries the maximum contribution percentage of 25%. Great. So now we've got the some constraints on there that Solver can put on there that GoalSeek can't. With that, I'm going to hit the Solve button, and Solver returns an error message. But that error message actually gives us the answer we want. It said Solver cannot find a feasible solution. It can't find a solution that provides for a contribution percentage of less than or equal to 25% and adds up to the available cash of $160,000. But it does provide us with an answer that limits to 25% and shows us that the available cash we can use up is only $159,000. We've got an extra $1,000 that we're going to have to spend on something else. So I hope that shows you how powerful Solver can be. And like I said, that just scratches the surface. It can do all kinds of things with multiple parameters and multiple limitations, multiple cells moving values, not just one like here in our contribution percentage scenario. And I'd love to hear from you, maybe what ideas have been sparked for you, how you might use Solver or GoalSeek in your work. Share with us in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like, and if you want to see more like it, please hit subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.